भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिके. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 20, text number. Text number 34. Tasyasan nrupa vaidarbhyaha Tasyasan nrupa vaidarbhyaha Patnyastisraha Susammataha Patnyastisras susammataha Jagnuhu Tyaga Bhayat Putran Jagnustyaga Bhayat Putran Na Anurupa Iti Irite Nanurupa Iti Irite Tasyasan nrupa vaidarbhyaha Patnyastisras susammataha Jagnustyaga bhayat putran Nanurupa iti rite. Tasyasan nrupa vaidarbhyaha Patnyastisras susammataha Jagnustyaga bhayat putran Nanurupa iti rite. Tasyasan nrupa vaidarbhyaha Patnyastisras susammataha Jagnustyaga bhayat putran Nanurupa iti rite. Tasyasan nrupa vaidarbhyaha Patnyastisras susammataha Jagnustyaga bhayat putran Nanurupa iti rite. Tasya, of him, Maharaj Bharata, Asan, there were, Nrupa, O king, Maharaj Parikshit, Vaidarbhyaha, daughters of Vidarbha, Patnyaha, wives, Tisraha, three, Susammataha, very pleasing and suitable, Jagnuho, killed, Tyaga Bhayat, fearing rejection, Putran, their sons, Na Anurupaha, not exactly like the father, Iti, like this, Irite, considering. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O King Parikshit, Maharaj Bharata had 3 pleasing wives who were daughters of the king of Vidarbha. When all 3 of them bore children who did not resemble the king, these wives thought that he would consider them unfaithful queens and reject them, and therefore they killed their own sons. So in the Bhagavatam, there are descriptions of very ghastly incidents in the lives of even great personalities. And we will discuss that after I finish reading this verse. Please repeat this translation after me. O King Parikshit, Maharaj Bharata had 3 pleasing wives who were daughters of the king of Vidarbha. When all 3 of them bore children who did not resemble the king, these wives thought that he would consider them unfaithful queens and reject them, and therefore they killed their own sons. Text 35, read the next 2 verses also. Text 35. Tasyaivam vitathe vamshe tadartham yajatas sutam marutstomena maruto bharadvajam upadaduhu. Translation. The king, his attempt for progeny frustrated in this way, performed a sacrifice named Marutstoma to get a son. The demigods known as the Maruts, being fully satisfied with him, then presented him a son named Bharadvaja. Text 36. Antarvatnyam bhratrupatnyam maithunaya bruhaspatihi pravritto varito garbham shaptva viryam upasrujat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. When the demigod named Brihaspati was attracted by his brother's wife Mamata, who at that time was pregnant, he desired to have sexual relations with her. The son within her womb forbid this, but Brihaspati cursed him and forcibly discharged semen into the womb of Mamata. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The sex impulse is so strong in this material world that even Brihaspati, who is supposed to be the priest of the demigods and a very learned scholar, wanted to have a sexual relationship with his brother's pregnant wife. This can happen even in the society of the higher demigods. So what to speak of human society? The sex impulse is so strong that it can agitate even a learned personality like Brihaspati. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimiraandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracha Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Rama. When reading or hearing Bhagavatam, I think most of us will expect to hear some pleasant things, some nice things, some ideal things. But Bhagavatam is also presenting something very, very ghastly, something horrible, something very, very sinful. Actually, Bhagavatam wants to present the truth. Satyam Param Dhimahi. The beginning of the Bhagavatam, what is declared is the highest truth. The absolute truth is presented here. The absolute truth, Krishna, is the controller, master, owner, proprietor of the spiritual world and the material world. Now, both are his own. He is the master, he is the controller, he is the owner. Now, the spiritual world, there's a description of spiritual world specifically in the Bhagavatam. Now, you read that description, everything is perfect. Everything is very nice. Everything is very beautiful. No sin, no misery, no cheating, no disease, no old age, no suffering. It is the ideal place. But there is also the material world. And the truth about this material world, which we don't like to hear, is that this material world is a place described in the Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere in the scriptures as Dukkhalayam, a place filled with dukkha, with distress, unhappiness, suffering, ashashvatam, and everything here is temporary. Nothing is permanent. So both these worlds are there in reality. This is truth, this is reality. And we are presently in the material world. And Krishna is telling, you don't belong to the material world, you belong to the spiritual world. You belong to me, and you belong to the spiritual world, which is my place of residence. Come to me, come to my spiritual world. But we don't easily agree for this proposal of Krishna, because we want to live here and make this place like the spiritual world. Especially when we come to spiritual life. In spiritual life, we have got everything. We got Krishna, we got the holy name, we got the deities, we got devotee association. So why should we leave this place and go? Why not be here? Everything will be perfect in Krishna consciousness. So why should we leave and go? So Krishna's proposal that you should go to the spiritual world is actually to be carefully understood. It is based on the understanding about who actually we are. Why are we thinking like, let us make this place very comfortable, very nice, perfect? Because we are thinking, I am this body. We are thinking in terms of, I am this body. Our entire life, not only this life, millions of lives, we have always lived with this misconception. I am the body. But the first lesson in spiritual life is, I'm not the body. You are not the body. Nobody is their body, material body. So with this proper understanding, I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. Spirit soul is completely spiritual by nature. And very nicely Krishna is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. What are the qualities of spirit? So with a proper understanding that we are spirit soul, we also understand spirit soul means belongs to spiritual world. It is meant to be in the spiritual world, not meant to be in the material world. Then why this material creation? So that is also explained. Only reason Krishna created this material world is to give us a chance to try to satisfy our desire for material enjoyment, independent of Krishna. So Krishna has made the arrangement because Krishna has given us our free will, and he will not interfere with our free will. Living being means free will. We have got free will. And exactly according to the way we want to use our free will, Krishna will arrange. So if we misuse our free will, Krishna arranges this material world. And if we want to properly use our free will, then we don't belong to this place, we belong to the spiritual world. Our place is in the spiritual world. So we have to become responsible to properly utilize our free will. And that is possible by practicing spiritual life only. There is no other way. Spiritual life means we understand properly and we act according to the proper understanding. So even though by practicing spiritual life, we can become purified, we can become free from sinful activities, but still the free will remains. And if we don't use our free will properly, then there is danger. So therefore, along with practicing spiritual life, we also have to become very, very careful, responsible, and we have to properly exercise our free will every moment, all the time. So how is that possible? That I should not even make any one mistake. So Krishna says the way of perfection is bhakti. Bhakti is the way of perfection. Bhakti means each one of us, we have a relationship of love with Krishna. And that relationship is always there in our heart. And we have to revive that relationship. And that is the process of bhakti, to revive that relationship. And once we revive that relationship and become properly established in that specific relationship with Krishna, loving relationship, then automatically everything in this material world will be able to see properly in its proper value. Will not mistake this material world to be something other than a temporary place filled with miseries. Clearly we can see, we can experience, we can understand, and we can easily give up. Very easily give up. So coming to the 3 verses that I just now read, the description is given here about Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was a very, very, very powerful king. Not king, he was the emperor. Not just emperor of this world, this earth planet, but emperor of the universe. He was a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was ruling very nicely. So the descriptions are there in the previous verses that he performed many sacrifices, as is the duty of the king or the emperor. And he surpassed the opulence of the demigods because he worshipped the Supreme Lord perfectly. He was able to give. What was his opulence like? Just to give an example, he performed a sacrifice in which he gave dana, charity. 14 lakhs of excellent elephants with white tusks and black bodies, completely covered with golden ornaments. Normally you would have seen, at least in Mysore you can see, the elephant is covered with some gold in the front. Now, Maharaj Bharata's opulence was such that the elephants he gave in charity were completely covered with gold. And not one or two. He gave 14 lakh excellent elephants, completely covered with gold, all having white tusks. So, he was very, 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 very rich. His opulence surpassed those of the Devatas in the heavenly planets. So this Bharata, he had 3 wives. That's what is described here. Yeah, he had 3 wives, very pleasing wives. The 3 daughters of the king of Vidarbha. And when the 3 of them bore children who did not resemble the king, naturally they were expecting they'll have sons who will be also as handsome, as beautiful, as charismatic as their own husband. But somehow the children born did not resemble the king. And these wives immediately thought that, oh, we have given birth to sons who don't resemble the father. So then what will the king think? He may think we are unfaithful. So all the 3 of them decided, let's kill the child before even the king sees the child that is born. So then they killed their own sons. Very, very ghastly. This is the defect of the wife not being chaste. The scriptures describe ideal wife means she is chaste, and ideal husband means he is of a very high grade character, that he is a responsible husband, he is a responsible father, he is a responsible citizen or a responsible king, whatever. This is ideal family life. But we see throughout the Bhagavatam, you can see where somebody is not coming or living up to the ideal, there are problems. No matter, otherwise there may be so many other good qualities. This is another characteristic of material world, that people having in one aspect they have very good qualities, some other aspect they may be lacking. So, in general, among conditioned souls, you cannot find even one person who is decorated with all the good qualities that are to be expected in an ideal person. And this is very nicely described in the pastime of the demons and the demigods together churning the milk ocean to produce nectar, Amrita. That out of that churning, in the beginning there was poison, and that poison was deadly poison, but on the instruction of Vishnu, both the demigods and the demons went and requested Shiva to help them get rid of that poison. Shiva said, no problem. So he reduced all that huge quantity of poison into a small quantity of it in his palm. Like we do achaman, we take little water in the palm of our hand, in small quantity. He reduced to that quantity and he just sipped it, and he's holding it in his throat. That's why he's called Neelakantha. That poison is stuck here. Such a powerful personality, Shiva is. Deadly poison, and it's concentrated to be reduced to a small bit of it, highly concentrated. And he's holding it in his throat. So what does it mean? Shiva is no ordinary personality. He's an extraordinary personality. His personality cannot be compared with any of the other devatas. So people sometimes think, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. This is foolishness. Utter foolishness. Of course, somebody may desire to become as ideal as Shiva. That's okay. But you should understand, Shiva's position is very, very unique. He is not a living being like us. He is not a Jiva. He is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So he's an extraordinary personality. So anyway, Shiva drank that poison and is holding it in his throat. It's not affecting him in any way. So Bhagavatam says, when describing that incident, Shukadeva Goswami wants, don't try to imitate powerful personalities like Krishna, Shiva, or any other incarnation, because what they can do, you can never even imagine that you will be able to do. Just like they imitate Shiva smoking some ganja or drinking some bhang, so-called followers of Shiva. But Shukadeva Goswami wants, can they drink even a very, very little bit of poison that Shiva drank and hold it in their throat? Can they do that? Nobody can do. Nobody can do. No yogi, no jnani, no tapasvi, no devata, no siddha purusha. Nobody can do it. So therefore, don't imitate Shiva. Don't imitate Shiva. You'll be ruined if you imitate Shiva. Similarly, Krishna danced with the gopis, but Krishna also lifted the Govardhan hill and held it in his little finger. He subdued Kaliya, who had 101 hoods and he was spitting out poison, which was polluting the entire surrounding area of the Mathura district. So that Kaliya, Krishna, just by dancing on his hoods as a sport, he completely subdued. He could have easily killed him, but it's because his wives were devotees, his life was spared. And then he began to realize. He also became a devotee. So, Krishna you can try to imitate by dancing with some nice girls, but you can't imitate Krishna lifting Govardhan hill or subduing one powerful serpent like Kaliya. That is not possible. Nobody can do it. So therefore, Bhagavatam wants, Shukadeva Goswami wants, Bhagavatam wants, don't imitate great personalities, extraordinary personalities like Shiva, Krishna, Vishnu, Narayana. Don't imitate them. Similarly, it is said here, Bharat Maharaj, extraordinary personality, don't imitate him. Don't imitate him. So, he wanted to have a nice son, but when his attempt was frustrated, because he's Bharat Maharaj, so he performed a sacrifice to get a son. He worshipped the Maruts, Marut demigods, Marutstoma, sacrifice he performed. The demigods known as Maruts, being fully satisfied with him, presented him a son named Bharadvaja. So Shukadeva Goswami is further describing how this Bharadvaja was born. So this Bharadvaja was born by Brihaspati forcibly discharging his semen in the womb of his brother's wife. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, even Brihaspati, who is the priest of the demigods and a very learned scholar, and even he wanted to have a sexual relationship with his brother's pregnant wife. She's already pregnant. Still he wanted to have conceive a child in his brother's wife. So Prabhupada says, if even in the demigod society this can happen, then what to speak of human society? Human beings are much, 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 much weaker than the Devatas. So therefore, the sex impulse is described as very, very, very strong in this material world because of the desire to enjoy materially. It is very strong. And to control it or subdue it is sometimes not possible even for very, very learned personalities, very great sages who have performed a lot of tapasya, who are otherwise very exalted in so many other aspects. But when it comes to controlling the sex impulse, history records that so many people have failed. Now, what is the common thing among all these people who have failed to control the sex impulse? They were all not pure devotees. That means the only way to actually conquer this sex desire is pure devotional service. your devotional service. So this sex impulse is represented in this material world by Cupid, Madana, Manmatha. So Madana, it is described, incites this lusty desires for material enjoyment in the hearts of the conditioned souls. But that Madana can be conquered only if somebody takes shelter of Krishna, who is called Madana Mohana. Krishna himself is millions of times more beautiful. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Kandarpa is Madana. So, crores of times more beautiful than Madana is Krishna. So, instead of getting attracted to the beauty of Madana, or the representative of Madana, if we get attracted to the beauty of Krishna, then we can easily conquer these lusty desires in the heart or the sex impulse. Very easily we can conquer. And that's the only way, and there's no other way. So all the devotional literature advise that you get attracted to Krishna. Get attracted to Krishna. And Krishna can attract everyone. That's why it's called Krishna. Krishna means the all attractive, supremely attractive. So he has got, according to the Bhagavatam, unlimited wonderful qualities which can attract everyone. Because different people have different innate tendency to be attracted by some specific quality. So Krishna is the only person who has got all the wonderful attractive qualities which can attract everyone in the whole creation. So get attracted to Krishna, and everyone is certain to be attracted by Krishna, because he has those qualities which can attract anyone and everyone. He has all the qualities. So only by practicing devotional service and thereby becoming attracted to Krishna, we can easily conquer the kama, hridroga kama. It is a disease of the heart, this kama, lusty desires. It's a disease. And the symptom of the disease is this material body. It's a symptom of the disease called bhavaroga or hridroga kama. So to cure this disease, only way is to develop devotion to Krishna, awaken that devotion to Krishna by practicing bhakti yoga, and then you can easily conquer all the base qualities, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, everything completely will be eradicated from the heart without any separate effort, separate endeavor, simply by practicing chanting Hare Krishna, beginning with chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'll stop here. Antarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One answer. Only one announcement. We'll be celebrating Panihatti Chidadahi festival on 2nd June, Friday. And this celebration will be in a holy place, Chunchunkatte Sri Rama temple. So the deities of our temple, Sri Gaurnitai, will be taken to that place, and it is by the bank of the river Kaveri. So there will be a festival there. So more details are put up on the notice board. So you are invited to participate in this festival in that location. Hare Krishna.